Across the meandering rivers, vibrant cities, and tranquil mountains of Vietnam lies a spiritual tapestry as intricate and enthralling as the landscape itself. Here, faith is not bound to one doctrine or confined within the walls of sacred halls. It flows seamlessly through daily life, weaving together a distinct blend of ancient traditions and resilient beliefs. The spiritual landscape of Vietnam reflects centuries of cultural exchange and assimilation, forming a harmonious confluence of Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, and enduring folk practices. In this unique synthesis, Buddhism serves as the predominant pillar, introduced to Vietnam over a millennium ago, shaping not only the collective consciousness, but also the contours of the land by inspiring the construction of hundreds of chua, or pagodas. However, in Vietnam, Buddhism rarely exists in isolation. Elements of Taoist mysticism and Confucian ethics intermingle with indigenous beliefs, creating a dynamic spiritual identity that reveres harmony, respect for nature, and ancestor worship. These traditions are not just relics of the past, they remain an inseparable part of daily life, guiding actions and attitudes, offering comfort and direction in times of uncertainty, and linking generations through ritual and remembrance. To stroll through a Vietnamese town or village is to encounter the visible markers of this rich, spiritual tradition. One might first notice the ornate structures rising gracefully from the horizon, pagodas, with their iconic curved roofs reaching toward the sky, typically adorned with intricate dragon motifs, red lacquer, and shimmering gold accents. These are centers of Buddhist devotion, built not only for monastic practice, but for the daily spiritual needs of the community. The architectural lexicon speaks a language of reverence and resilience. The dragon atop the roof guards against evil. Lanterns illuminate the path of wisdom, and sacred trees, often centuries old, bear witness to generations of prayer. Pagodas, or chua, play a vital role in Vietnamese spiritual life. They are sanctuaries where people go to seek inner peace, solace, and guidance, especially during festivals and personal milestones. On birthdays, before important exams, or in times of illness, families flock to these sacred spaces to pray for good fortune and protection. The gentle peal of the temple bell or the steady beat of the ceremonial drum punctuate the quiet calling worshippers to mindfulness and stillness within the sacred compound. This music of devotion, reverberating through the tranquil courtyards, becomes more than background sound. It is a living invitation to pause, reflect, and reconnect with the invisible threads that bind all life. Yet, Vietnamese spirituality is far broader than Buddhism alone. The landscape is dotted with temples, distinct from pagodas in both purpose and origin. While pagodas are dedicated to the teachings of the Buddha, temples are places where ancestors, national heroes, deities, and legendary figures are honored. Temples often serve as vibrant community hubs, especially during festivals that celebrate ancient stories or commemorate local protectors. Inside a typical temple, the air is thick with the warm aroma of incense. Altars are brimming with fresh fruit, vibrant flowers and symbolic offerings, and red and gold banners flutter softly, all of which point to the vital practice of honoring spirits, those of history, myth, and family. At the very heart of spiritual life in Vietnam is ancestor worship, a tradition so central it is said to define Vietnamese identity itself. In every home, regardless of wealth or location, you are likely to find an ancestral altar, a small, ornate table, carefully tended and meticulously arranged. Here, the living communicate with the spirits of their forebears, expressing gratitude and requesting their continued guidance and protection. Burning incense serves as a spiritual bridge, its fragrant smoke rising to the unseen realm, carrying messages of remembrance and respect. Fruits, foods, cups of tea or rice wine, and even symbolic gifts such as paper cars or clothing are offered regularly, demonstrating enduring devotion to familial roots. These rituals are not acts of worship in the Western religious sense, but rather gestures of filial piety and remembrance, instilling a sense of continuity and anchoring Vietnamese life in hundreds of years of inherited wisdom. The rhythm of spiritual life in Vietnam is closely attuned to the lunar calendar, with specific days marked for communal prayer and personal introspection. On the full moon and new moon days each month, pagodas and temples fill with worshippers, each seeking blessings, purification, or simply a quiet moment of connection. These days are regarded as particularly auspicious for making offerings. Bowls of fragrant rice, platters of sticky cakes, stalks of blooming orchids, all carefully selected to express sincerity and earn merit for both the living and the departed. In these gatherings, the social and spiritual merge as individuals stand side by side, bowing in silent prayer, united in their hopes and memories. Among the sacred figures revered in Vietnam, Quan Em, the goddess of mercy, holds a special place in the collective heart. Known for her compassion, kindness, and miraculous interventions, Quan Em is approached by those seeking comfort, healing, or protection. Her images are found in almost every pagoda and often at home altars, depicted as a serene figure holding a vase of pure water or sitting in meditation. Countless devotees claim to have received her assistance in times of need, and her name is invoked with respectful reverence whenever disaster strikes or support is required. The culture of Quan Am worship reflects a broader Vietnamese attachment to principles of empathy, communal care, and inner tranquility. Central to all rituals, whether conducted in a grand temple or a humble home shrine, are the practices of making offerings and burning incense. The act of lighting a stick of incense, bowing in silent prayer, and placing gifts on the altar is both an expression of respect and a tangible connection to the mysteries of existence. Incense is believed to carry prayers between worlds, helping maintain harmony between the living and the more ethereal realms. Its scent hangs in the air as a gentle reminder of life's impermanence and the ongoing dialogue between past and present. The visual language of Vietnamese spirituality is full of potent symbols, none more revered than the four sacred animals, the dragon, phoenix, turtle, and unicorn. Each embodies a unique set of virtues and cosmic powers. The dragon represents prosperity, strength, and the dynamic energy of the nation. The phoenix is a symbol of grace, beauty, and transformation. The turtle stands for longevity, patience, and wisdom, and the unicorn, though more mythical, embodies responsibility, honesty, and protection against evil. Statues and depictions of these creatures adorn temples, palaces, and public spaces, and their presence is invoked in stories and ceremonies, underscoring the Vietnamese belief in the interconnectedness of all things living and mythic. Ritual and ceremony extend to every stage of life in Vietnam. Weddings are often accompanied by offerings at ancestral altars. Prayers are said before the construction of a new home, and funeral rites blend Confucian formalities with Buddhist meditations on impermanence and rebirth. Even the act of beginning a new venture, or the simple harvesting of rice, can be the occasion for a ceremony, as people seek the blessing of land spirits, ancestors, and deities. These practices aim to ensure harmony and balance, securing good fortune while warding off misfortune. The concept of spirit mediumship, or Hayu Dong, adds further depth to Vietnam's spiritual life. In these vibrant ceremonies, gifted mediums enter a trance-like state, believed to channel deities and legendary figures through ritualized dance, music, and costuming. These events are often mesmerizing, featuring elaborate garments, musical ensembles, and intricate acts of devotion. Far from being relics of a distant past, spirit mediumship remains a living, evolving tradition, evidence of the enduring Vietnamese fascination with the unseen and the power of ritual to mediate between worlds. Pilgrimage is another cherished tradition, drawing millions of faithful each year to sacred sites scattered across the country. Whether traversing mist-shrouded mountains to reach Yen Tu, paying homage to the Lady of Ba Chua Shu in the Mekong Delta, or exploring the mystical Huang Tich Cave, pilgrims seek not only personal input from the divine, but also a sense of community and renewal. Pilgrimages turn journeys into expressions of hope, gratitude, and spiritual yearning, forging links between the individual seeker and the broader flow of national history. Amid all these spiritual practices, etiquette and respect are paramount. Worshippers dress modestly, covering shoulders and knees. They remove shoes before stepping onto temple thresholds, a gesture of humility before the sacred. Conversation hushes upon entering spiritual spaces, replaced by the muted shuffling of feet and the low murmur of prayers. Acts of humility signal recognition of the unseen, maintaining a tranquil environment in which the deepest yearnings and most fervent hopes may be expressed. The spiritual life of Vietnam, then, is defined by its breadth and subtlety. It operates quietly, embracing the rhythms of the everyday while remaining attuned to the cosmic cycles. It invites both solemnity and celebration, solitude and community, reverence for the past and hope for the future. Temples and pagodas act as anchors of tradition, but the true heart of spirituality in Vietnam beats also in the home, in family gatherings, seasonal festivals, and moments of silent reflection. As dusk falls over the Vietnamese landscape, the gentle glow of lanterns at the temple steps, the soft chant of a monk in prayer, the fragrance of incense lingering in a family home, all are testament to a spiritual heritage that has endured the tests of time. In this country, faith is not static, but ever-evolving, embracing new meanings even as it honors ancient forms. Ultimately, spiritual life in Vietnam is a profound dialogue between the visible and the invisible, the living and the departed, the personal and the communal. It is a life lived in the shadow of the ancestors, beneath the protective gaze of dragons and phoenixes, and within the peaceful embrace of pagodas and temples. This gentle power endures because it is nurturing, inclusive, and deeply interwoven with daily experience. In every prayer and offering, every ceremonial drumbeat, and each respectful bow echoes the idea that life is a journey best traveled with mindfulness, humility, and a loving remembrance of those who came before. Vietnam's spiritual landscape, then, is more than a map of temples and rituals. It is a living, breathing testament to the country's enduring soul. Rooted in tradition, yet always adapting, quiet yet powerful in its influence, it connects past and present, seen and unseen, with grace and beauty. For those who pause to notice, it offers not just sacred stories and beautiful architecture, but a guiding light, gentle, steady, and ever-present, illuminating the path toward wisdom, compassion, and harmony in the flow of life. Vietnam, a land of lush landscapes and vibrant traditions, is renowned for its rich tapestry of festivals that weave together the threads of history, spirituality, and community. These celebrations are the heartbeats of Vietnamese life, echoing ancient beliefs, Buddhist teachings, Confucian values, and the agrarian rhythms of the countryside. They are more than just festive occasions. They are windows into the country's soul, preserving the wisdom and culture of generations past while drawing families and communities together in shared joy. At the center of Vietnam's festival calendar stands Tet Nguyen Dan, known simply as Tet, the Vietnamese Lunar New Year. This is, without question, the most important event of the year, marking not just the start of a new lunar calendar, but also the arrival of spring. Tet represents a time of renewal, when families set aside old grievances, cleanse their homes of lingering bad luck, and open their doors to hope and prosperity. Across Vietnam, homes buzz with activity in the days leading up to Tet. Floors are scrubbed, windows polished, and ancestral altars are refreshed with vibrant offerings of fruit, incense, and delicate flowers to honor those who came before. The aroma of joss sticks mingles with laughter as relatives gather from far and wide, converging for family reunions that reaffirm love and unity. An iconic part of Tet is the exchange of red envelopes, called li shi, filled with crisp money. These humble packages, given mostly to children and the elderly, symbolize luck, happiness, and new beginnings. They are a simple yet profound gesture, passing on wishes of fortune from one hand to another, threading the generations together. Food, naturally, plays a starring role in Tet festivities, serving as both sustenance and ceremonial offering. Two dishes in particular are central to Tet: Ban Chung and Ban Tet. These sticky rice cakes, painstakingly crafted by hand, are found only during Tet, embodying the spirit of the festival in every bite. Ban Chung, square in shape for the north, and Ban Tet, cylindrical for the south, are ancient recipes made with glutinous rice, mung beans, and pork wrapped in green leaves and boiled for hours. With every slice, families recall the legend of a prince whose simple but heartfelt gift to his emperor father became the symbol of Vietnamese gratitude and filial piety. Preparing these cakes is a family affair. Generations gather around the steam pots, sharing stories, laughter, and expectation as the new year rises. Yet Tet is defined by more than just what's on the table. The spirit of the season is reflected in bursts of color seen in households across the country. In the north, delicate pink peach blossoms, or hoa dao, are displayed, while in the south, radiant yellow apricot blossoms, hoa mai, adorn homes and streets alike. These blooms are symbols of spring's arrival, hope, and renewal. Their fleeting existence reminds all who admire them that life is both precious and transitory. As the year unfolds, Vietnamese children eagerly await another highlight, Tet Trung Thu, the Mid-Autumn Festival. This celebration, rooted in centuries-old harvest rites and folklore, takes place when the moon is at its roundest and brightest. It's a time for children, who are at the heart of the festivities. Households fill with the fragrance of mooncakes. Dense pastries stuffed with lotus seed paste, salted egg yolk, and assorted fillings, each symbolizing unity and plenty. But it's not only about food. Tet Trung Thu dazzles with light and sound as children parade through the streets, carrying brilliantly colored paper lanterns shaped like fish, stars, and dragons. Underneath the glow of the full moon, laughter mixes with the pulse of drums, announcing the arrival of exuberant lion dance troupes who spin, leap, and prowl, believed to chase away evil and usher in good fortune. Beyond the home and hearth, Vietnam's festivals unveil the country's reverence for its history and its legendary founders. Among these, the Hung King's Temple Festival stands out as a profound expression of national pride and ancestral veneration. Held annually in Phu Tho Province, this festival honors the Hung Kings, mythical patriarchs credited with laying the foundations of the Vietnamese state. Pilgrims, young and old, climb pine-shaded hills to pay tribute, laying blossoms and offerings at the ancient temples. Through ritual sacrifices, solemn ceremonies, and festive processions, the nation pauses to remember its roots, a reminder that the Vietnamese are, above all, a people bound by memory and shared destiny. Buddhism, having filtered through Vietnam's culture for over 2 millennia, is interwoven deeply with its festival calendar. One of the most colorful and widely observed religious events is Buddha's birthday, known in Vietnam as Phat Dan. On this day, pagodas everywhere are alive with worshippers. The temples gleam with thousands of lanterns, and floating floral boats are gently set adrift on lakes and ponds. Statues of the infant Buddha are bathed in water, symbolizing purity and the washing away of suffering. Songs, prayers, and the hum of chanting fill the air, creating an atmosphere of hope, compassion, and peaceful reflection. For many, it is an opportunity to give alms, perform acts of kindness, and seek spiritual renewal. No exploration of Vietnamese festivals is complete without delving into those events that express the colorful diversity of its regions and peoples. In the northern province of Bac Ninh, the Lim Festival celebrates the cherished art of Quan Ho folk singing. Designated as an intangible cultural heritage by UNESCO, Quan Ho is much more than music. It is an elegant courtship ritual performed between villages, where men and women, clad in traditional attire, exchange poetic challenges and responses. As the harmonies float over the fields, spectators are transported into a world where love, wit, and beauty remain timeless. The Vietnamese fascination with both the spiritual and the scenic finds its fullest expression in the Perfume Pagoda Festival, held in the spectacular limestone mountains near Hanoi. During the festival, thousands of pilgrims make a symbolic journey by boat along the Yen Stream, winding through mist-draped valleys, before climbing steep paths up to a complex of ancient pagodas carved into the mountainside. Along the way, travelers stop to offer incense, pray for health, luck, and fertility, and immerse themselves in the serene, mystical beauty of the landscape. At the heart of this sacred journey is the belief in transformation, of hardship into hope, and of longing into fulfillment. Moving south along the cultural tapestry, we reach the imperial city of Hue, host to its own grand celebration. The Hue Festival, held every 2 years since 2000, is a dazzling showcase of Vietnam's royal heritage. Set amid palaces, citadels, and the Perfume River, the festival celebrates the city's past as the country's last feudal capital. Royal court music, opulent processions, and elaborate performances of traditional dance, theater, and martial arts unfold within the ancient ramparts. Visitors and locals alike step into history, glimpsing the splendor and sophistication of a bygone era. Vietnam's bond with the land and sea is nowhere more evident than in its regional harvest and fishing festivals. One such occasion is the Khao Ngu Festival, celebrated by coastal fishing communities. Here, villagers pray to the whale god, a benevolent sea spirit believed to protect fishermen and bestow bountiful catches. Colorful boat races, dragon dances, and symbolic offerings fill the beaches with energy and gratitude. The festival is a poignant reminder of Vietnam's dependence on the sea and the way in which the rhythms of nature shape spiritual life. In the Central Highlands, the arrival of spring is greeted with another extraordinary spectacle, the Elephant Race Festival. Majestic elephants, revered as symbols of strength and good fortune, thunder across open fields, their backs adorned with vibrant fabrics. The festival, unique to Vietnam's indigenous tribes, is a thrilling celebration of both human and animal courage. It is an embodiment of the harmony between people and nature, and of communities coming together in merriment and friendly competition. Among the most intriguing of Vietnam's spiritual legacies is the worship of the mother goddesses, or Dao Mao. This indigenous belief system, which predates dominant religions, pays homage to female deities associated with the earth, water, mountains, and forests, forces of creation and protection. Vibrant rituals feature trance mediums, extravagant costumes, folk music, and offerings, creating scenes of color and sound where the physical and spiritual worlds meet. The ceremonies are not only displays of faith but also acts of empowerment, honoring the nurturing and life-giving roles of women throughout Vietnamese history. Underlying all these major festivals is a common thread: adherence to the lunar calendar. Most Vietnamese festivals are not tethered to the solar year, but instead follow the waxing and waning phases of the moon. This ancient system reflects the agricultural roots of Vietnamese society, linking the cycles of planting, growth, and harvest to the rhythm of celebrations. The lunar months serve as both timekeeper and storyteller, guiding the nation through each season's promise and challenges. Throughout Vietnam, festivals serve more than just their immediate purposes of prayer, feasting, and entertainment. They are reservoirs of memory, a bridge between the living and the departed, between the wisdom of ancestors and the dreams of today's children. Every festival, whether a grand state ceremony or a humble village gathering, preserves the essence of Vietnamese identity. Rich with symbolism, music, food, and folklore, these festivities both anchor and uplift, ensuring that as Vietnam grows and modernizes, its cultural heartbeat remains strong and enduring. To wander through a festival in Vietnam is to see the nation at its most spirited and harmonious. The laughter of children echoing under lantern-lit trees, the melodic strains of folk songs drifting over rice paddies, the scent of incense wafting through open temple doors. These are the sounds, sights, and scents that define the Vietnamese year. In a world of constant change, these traditional festivals hold steadfast, glowing like lanterns in the night, illuminating the deep wells of faith, resilience, and joy that have always defined the Vietnamese way of life.